The Ford GT90 was an ultra-high-performance concept car developed by Ford and unveiled in January 1995 at the Detroit Auto Show. This was supposed to be a spiritual successor to the famous Ford GT40 from the 1960s and Le Mans era. This car was going to be powered by a quad turbo, that's right, 4 turbochargers, a quad turbo V12. It was obviously going to be a 2-door coupe, mid-engine, and rear-wheel drive. The GT90 was built in secret by a small engineering team in just over 6 months. It actually shared components with the Jaguar XJ220, which, if you recall, Jaguar was owned by Ford at the time. The V12 engine was actually tested in a Lincoln Town Car in which they put this prototype engine in to refine it. Now, if you ask me, that would be a crazy car, a Lincoln Town Car with a big V12. Heck, screw the GT90, they could have done this as well. But diving into the GT90, this car was way ahead of its time. It would have been absolutely crazy just between the design philosophy, the materials, the engine, the power. It would truly be a hypercar even by today's standards. Comprised of an aluminum monocoque frame, and its body panels were purely carbon fiber. And going into the engine, this 48 valve V12 was all aluminum, block and head. It was a 5.9 liter, and it was going to produce 720 horsepower and 660 pound-feet of torque. The red line would have been just over 6,000 RPM, and as I mentioned before, 4 Garrett T2 turbochargers would have been mounted. Believe it or not, this V12 was actually, in typical American car ingenuity, would have been comprised of 2 of the famous Ford 4.6 liter V8s with the last 2 cylinders of each bank chopped off and basically put together. This would have been put through a 5-speed manual transmission, driving the back wheels, and the back of the car featured ceramic tiles around the rear exit exhaust due to the exhaust so hot enough to damage the body panels. Suspension was your typical hypercar variant, double wishbone. Steering was power assisted rack and pinion, and the brakes were big ventilated discs. The 0 to 60 was acclaimed 3.1 seconds, 0 to 100 miles per hour being 6.2 seconds, and a quarter mile time of 10.9 seconds at 140 miles an hour. Top speed would have been listed at 253 miles per hour, which is unbelievable. Would have been definitely fastest of the time, and still one of the fastest cars today if it were fully produced. Of course, this car didn't actually make production. It was just a very far along concept with a appearance at different car shows and a full running model, but unfortunately just was never produced. So if you would like to get your hands on a GT90, you will have to settle for maybe a die-cast or a Hot Wheels, or you can drive it through various racing games over the years. It has been in quite a few. And if you really want to look, it was in Top Gear in 1995, tested by the famous Jeremy Clarkson. So in conclusion, the GT90 is just another car that was lost to the vault, the concept room. And unfortunately, we'll never see the vast roads of America and beyond. But what do you guys think of the GT90? It certainly was cutting edge, had some promising technology and extreme performance numbers for the time. And I tell you what, it definitely captures that 90s vibe. It is kind of ugly from certain angles, but kind of cool at the same time. Kind of has that 90s charm that a lot of weird designs in the 90s had. And honestly, this car looks like it's straight out of Mega Race or Ridge Racer. Those are like very old racing games. If you don't know, it totally looks like something out of a futuristic racing game or a futuristic movie. That is for sure. This could be like a futuristic James Bond or something. So that's about it for this one. Hope you learned something. The Ford GT90 is extinct before it began. So that's the tale. That's the video. And you know what to do. I dare you. I dare you to hit that thumbs up. If you can do it, you'll do it. And I dare you to hit that red subscribe button too and ring the bell and do like the 10-step program that YouTube requires now to, be a part of the site. Support the creators. You know the drill. All right. Bye-bye. Cars gone viral.